annual Talladega 500, in which we've had 11 different winners. The chief starter, Harold Kinder, is just about set to turn out the green flag over the competitors to come out and make their final practice before tomorrow's big race here at the Alabama International Motor Speedway. A couple of engines beginning to crank up. They had a little practice earlier. Buddy Baker was teamed up with Darrell Waltrip. They turned some of the super illuminaries ready for competition, which you'll be seeing live tomorrow here on the CBS Sports Spectacular. And right now, ready with a man who won the Daytona 500 and a leading candidate to win tomorrow, standing by is Ned Jarrett.
And Ken Squire, one of those drivers that's prominent in those lead changes, many that we see here at Talladega, is Buddy Baker, who will be starting on the pole here tomorrow with the speed of 198.5 miles per hour. Buddy, it's going to be a fast race.
Well, it is going to be extremely fast, and Farrell Harris ran in the ARCA race today, and he actually blistered the back of his hand from the heat coming up the steering column. So it's going to be a very hot race, and the guy that wins the race tomorrow will be not only a good fast driver, he's the type of guy that knows how to take care of his race car. And right now, all we're trying to do is set the car up where it'll run cool and run long.
Buddy, you've been turning some practice laps here at over 200 miles an hour. Can you maintain that kind of a pace?
I think I can, Ned. The car is just working super good, and you know, Waddell Wilson built on a super race motor, but the main thing is, you know, there's probably 8 or 10 cars right now that can run with us and will run with us, and if you get unlucky and get shuffled back into about 7th or 8th spot, the car heats up pretty fast. I noticed mine went from 190 to 210 in 3 laps a while ago, so it's going to be a main factor. When you lose that much to heat, the car starts running hot and it loses power, so you can't come back to the lead to cool it back off. So it's going to be an interesting race.
Well, Ken, here's a man with a plan.
11 previous races, 11 different winners, but there have been 5 super names in this game who have not won the Talladega 500, and Brock Yates is with one of them now.
I'm here with one of the real greats, Cale Yarborough, as you say, one of the guys who hasn't won the Talladega 500 yet. Cale, they talk about Talladega as being a weird place, a quirky place, a place almost the Bermuda Triangle of motorsport. Is there anything to that?
Well, this is a strange place, Brock. You know, it's the fastest racetrack in the world, and a lot of strange things has happened here, and I think one of the strangest is that there's been 11 races here, and 11 different drivers have won. I think it's this old racetrack is just proving a point that it definitely has no favorites, and I hope when this one's over there will be 12 different winners, and maybe I can be that one.
Okay, best of luck tomorrow. We may see more of him. Up to you, Ken.
Working with us here in the control tower, David Hobbs. And David, your thoughts about tomorrow's Talladega 500 here on CBS?
Well, like all NASCAR races, this one's going to be a very, very tough race to predict. As we said, we've got 11 races with 11 different winners. Buddy Baker is running so strongly in qualifying and practice, it looks like he could be one of the first drivers ever to break away from the field and break away from that magic draft. But he's got some very hot competition behind him. Not least of hers, of course, is Dale Earnhardt, who's the man of the year. He's the biggest money winner, the point leader, but he's right back in like 16th position on the grid. But watch out for him coming on really strong. And the other thing tomorrow, quite honestly, is going to be the searing heat down here in Alabama. It's over 100 degrees out there. We've already heard of a driver today whose hands were blistered. I was talking to Cale last night, and in a night race just a few weeks ago, his face got blistered where his goggles actually raised heat welts on his face. So tomorrow is going to be a very, very tough race, and I wouldn't like to commend a win at the moment, but Buddy Baker looks very strong.
The man of the hour, however, is Richard Petty. Richard Petty, Pocono, Pennsylvania last week, victim of a 180-mile-an-hour crash. Later today, live here on the CBS Sports Spectacular, we'll be talking with the king of stock car racing. Thank you, Dick. Here at the Alabama International Motor Speedway as we prepare for the running of the Talladega 500 tomorrow. All this week, as has been the story for some 30 years, the man of the hour, this man right here, Richard Petty, the man that's always making the pictures. The picture he made a week ago Sunday, Pocono, Pennsylvania. You saw this coast to coast. A terrible crash at 160 miles an hour at turn 2 in the Pocono 500. He walked away from it, but the next day he wasn't ambulatory. In the hospital until Tuesday, released late on Tuesday, out here 2 days ago running over 190 miles per hour. Richard Petty, as you look forward to tomorrow, how do you feel?
Well, I tell you, I felt a whole lot better starting a lot of races, but you know, this is kind of a deal that this is our business, and they're having a race this week, and we're here.
825th start of a career that goes back 30 years as of this August. I can't ever recall a start when you've looked like this.
Well, I don't think I've started in any worse shape than what I am right now, but you know, I feel like at this particular racetrack is not as bouncy and rough. Even though we're running 200 mile an hour, it's not as rough as a lot of racetracks we run, and it's not going to be as hard on my neck as a lot of racetracks, because when you go in the corner here, the tendency is to go down in the seat instead of going to the right side of the car, so that should help us.
The heat will be some 150 degrees here tomorrow, Richard. We understand you're going to run until the first caution, which could be 80, 85 miles in 150-degree heat. Hey, I can't believe you're going to try that at 190 mile, 200 mile an hour average, they say, for some laps tomorrow.
Well, you know, we're going to try it, and I feel like it, you know, if it gets warm enough, then I'll be worried about the heat more than I will my neck, and we'll probably be better off from that standpoint.
Why? Why, after 7 championships, one of the 11 previous winners of this event, why do you keep on coming on?
Well, I guess I want to be keep anybody from being the 12th winner down here, but really, you know, we're right up in the middle of the point standing right now, and if we do miss one race, we miss so many points that it's hard to overcome. And right now, we're second in the point standing. We still got 10 or 12 races to go, and still got a super chance to win the championship. So, you know, if we can have a good finish tomorrow, then that could mean the difference at the end of the year.
193rd win is what Richard Petty is after tomorrow here at Talladega, Alabama. From Talladega, I'm Ken Squire, and now back to Dick Stockton in Detroit.
International Motor Speedway, live coverage of the Talladega 500, the most competitive race in the world on a fast track, where each of the previous 11 races have been won by a different driver. Who will win this 12th annual event this afternoon?
The Sunday CBS Sports Spectacular.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dick Stockton, and welcome once again to the CBS Sports Spectacular. I am standing in Victory Lane here at the Alabama International Motor Speedway, where today a new champion will be crowned in this, the 12th annual Talladega 500. This is truly the fastest track in the world. To give you an idea, as many as 8 and 9 cars work in a draft inches apart, and they get up to speeds of over 200 miles an hour. The race just started just moments ago, but I have a word first. You know, last night I was in Detroit, Michigan with Angelo Dundee, where young Thomas Sicker started today from the pole position, and so far in the history of this race, a dark horse is usually the winner. But let's begin our coverage right now with the CBS Racing team led by Ken Squire.
All right, Dick, we're 16 laps, 42 miles into the Talladega 500, 11 previous races, 11 different winners, and right now we have 4 cars drafting for the lead at an average speed of 201 miles per hour per lap, and leading that pack is Buddy Baker. David Hobbs, our co-commentator today, it's some start.
Well, it's a heck of a start, but there's been a couple of major developments today already. First of all, about an hour ago, it rained very heavily, which had 2 good things for these drivers. It dropped the temperature from around about 100 to about 85 degrees, which is relatively comfortable as far as these guys are concerned. And Richard Petty has already got out of car number 43, and Joe Milliken has got into that car. Richard Petty still suffering from a terrible neck injury he sustained 2 weeks ago at Pocono.
More about Petty later in the program. They started that car back in 41st position. They are now running in 19th, with car up to 16th is the late report in car number 43 with Joe Milliken at the controls. That is young Joe Milliken, who formerly drove the LG DeWitt team. Car now running in 16th position overall in the field, but the real story is up in front with 4 cars continuing to battle for the lead. Darrell Waltrip, Neil Bonnet, Buddy Baker, Cale Yarborough, all involved in that battle for first place. A lot of big stories to be told today in the pits, and covering the action there is Ned Jarrett and Brock Yates.
Ken, pit stops are important in every NASCAR race, but particularly here, where they cover the length of a football field every second. So every second they lose in the pits is of utmost importance. Of course, they're about 20 laps away from making their first scheduled pit stops here. They can go about 35 to 38 laps on a tank of fuel. Brock Yates will be covering the action here with me in the pits today.
Thanks, Nat. I think that the good news of the afternoon is this little rain shower that came through here. As we all know, the temperatures have been around 100 degrees up until that little shower passed by. Now they're in the mid-80s. We've got a light breeze. That's going to help tire wear, and more important, I think, driver fatigue and the fatigue levels on these pit crews, which can really get hot down here, and one little miscue can cause this whole complexion of this race to change. So we've got a nice afternoon ahead of us.
Some of the drivers have made particular preparation for the heat here today, but they might not have to use it. We'll cover that story later on.
We are at lap 20. 53 2/10 of a mile into the running of the 188 lap Talladega 500 here at the world's fastest motor speedway. You're watching the bullet himself, Buddy Baker from Charlotte, North Carolina, number 28 out in front. In second spot, a man who's never won this race, Cale Yarborough, number 11 in the Junior Johnson car. Junior Johnson has experienced victory as a car owner, but Caleb has never come to first place in this Talladega 500. There they are, drafting better than 215 miles an hour right here into the 17-degree tri-oval. As you look at Buddy Baker in the right-hand corner of your screen, you're watching 4 cars battle for the lead at over 200 miles an hour, inches apart, down into the 33-degree banking. Highest banking, 5 stories high. Baker out in front, holding on to second spot, Cale Yarborough. Then comes Waltrip, followed by number 21, Neil Bonnet. And among that block, 2 are previous winners, 2 are not previous winners. Buddy Baker won this race in 1975. And running in that group with him today, Darrell Waltrip. He's flown around this track, seen some success. This car, number 11, Cale Yarborough, still seeking his first win here. And Neil Bonnet, a member of the Alabama gang, trying for his second win in a row. He won Pocono, Pennsylvania last Sunday, breaking a very, very long losing streak for the Wood brothers with car number 21. The leaders back across the line and flashing into turn number 1 in lap 23.
Of course, Darrell Waltrip won this race last year, and he started off fairly low on the grid today, down there in 7th spot. Made a great start and ran into turn 1, right behind Buddy Baker on lap 1. And these 4 cars seem to pull away a bit of a gap on the guy who's lying 5th, which at the moment is Bobby Allison. It's Benny Parsons in car number 27, who ran a reasonably good qualifying time, but they had niggling little troubles all through practice. And Benny's been running very strong this year. He's had 2 wins, and I'm sure he'll be looking for one of which, of course, you saw here on CBS, the World 600. But these front 4 cars are running incredibly strongly.
Richard Petty. The first 7 laps were run under caution because of that rainstorm just to finish drying out the track. And the driver who starts a car in Grand National Racing scores the points. What a break for Petty, who just 1 week ago slammed into the wall at over 160 miles per hour in Pocono, Pennsylvania, in the hospital till Tuesday. Was back out here driving 194. But look at this traffic here coming down the tri-oval. And there is the pit stop that was made early by car number 43, and we go to Ned Jarrett on that stop that was made earlier today.
Been somewhat of a break for Richard Petty and Joe Milliken. Now they're able to make the driver change they anticipated without Richard having to run full speed. Of course, you can see the brace neck, the neck brace on him, and Joe Milliken now going in. They do not anticipate too long of a period of time here because they had everything hooked up and ready just to plug right in. Of course, the safety paraphernalia on these NASCAR Grand National cars takes a little time to hook up, but Richard, as you can see, has not even worked up a perspiration here. We'll get over and get a word with him. Richard, across this wall here. The damp track here today was somewhat of a break for you, starting under the green caution period.
Well, really, we was going to run to the first caution, and this does give me a break. I don't even have to get under green at all. So, from that standpoint, it's going to be a little bit better for us. But from Joe's standpoint, it's going to have to start way in the back, so that's going to make a big disadvantage.
How are you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling all right, but, I didn't want to take a chance on hurting myself worse than what I am.
Were you ready to go a full green stop?
Yeah, we was ready to try a full green stop, whatever it would be. But, under these circumstances, I think it's going to be better for us all.
Well, of course, Joe Milliken is now hooked up and joining the field, but he will have to join it at the back of the pack.
That was at lap number 2 when they were under caution. They are now under full green. They are running in the 26th lap. We have 4 cars in the lead pack, averaging over 200 miles an hour per lap. After those first 8 slow laps under caution, there you see Joe Milliken driving for Richard Petty. Crashed a week ago. The Petty car, number 43, with young Milliken running right up there toward the leaders now. On the latest standings, he's being shown in 14th. The lead pack is 5 seconds in front of the second group of cars, and the lead pack is car number 28 and 88. Here's Waltrip back into the lead. Waltrip running in first. Then you see the second place car of Baker. Third is Yarborough. Fourth is car number 21, Neil Bonnet. And the fifth place car now becomes number 2, Dale Earnhardt. Currently the number 1 leader in the NASCAR Grand National standings with the second biggest lead he's enjoyed all season. Running right behind him in the 6th position, number 27, Parsons. Back with the leaders on the 3,000-foot back straightaway of the Alabama International Motor Speedway. Baker bursting back in front as they move into turn number 3.
There you see the front 3 cars completely changing position. Baker dragging Yarborough and Neil Bonnet past Darrell Waltrip, who's content to just stay on the back of that group. As you say, they've got a 5-second gap back to 5th place, which is Dale Earnhardt, who won't be getting too desperate at this stage of the race because there's a lot of racing action. There's going to be a lot of pit action to go yet. But it is rather distressing to see these cars pull away from you at that speed. If the guys around Dale Earnhardt aren't up to 200-mile-an-hour laps, obviously the front 4 here that we see will continue to pull away. And if they don't have many yellows or many cautions, it's going to make it very tough on those cars trailing at the back, especially, of course, young Joe Milliken in car number 43, who, although he's worked his way out to 14th position, has got no decent traffic around him to make up ground in the draft, which is so important here at Alabama.
Waltrip has moved from 1st to 4th in 3/4 of a lap. They continue to move around in the draft among the leaders. There's Baker, the winner of this year's Daytona 500 that you saw on CBS, now just barely in front of Cale Yarborough in that second spot. Baker running in the point position with Milliken running in the 14th position. Joe Milliken with a Richard Petty car. And earlier we talked to Joe Milliken about what his strategy would be if he had to come in here in this reserve role today. Here's what Joe Milliken told us.
Well, I started out, in 65 morning long and sweeping there in the garage and all. And, I wanted to race and work our way into it. And I've run their cars for them before, never his Grand National car, but sportsman cars. And, there's no pressure. They want me to do the best job that I can for them, and that's all they asked of.
Joe Milliken, who used to mow the lawn up in Level Cross for Petty, now mowing down the competition from 41st up to 14th. Right behind him you see Harry Gant in the Race Hill Farms car. Number 28. It's still Baker out in front, just barely. One car slowing down dramatically in the tri-oval, way up against the wall. One car slowing down. The car is not in the wall, but it's bringing out a caution. Yellow is on, and the wheel is down on car number 7, Ricky Rudd. A broken right front wheel right here at the start-finish line area. Rudd in car number 7, the first time he has driven the machine. His first performance here actually it's not his first time in that car. First time at Talladega with that car, formerly driven by Richard Brooks of Porterville, California. It's come to a halt right down here below us, and it's bringing out the first caution of the day in the 30th lap of action.
Well, that'll bring in a flurry of pit stops at lap nearly 30 here. I should think we'll see a mass pit entry here for some very, very quick stops, because I don't think this one will be very long.
There you see Ricky Rudd walking away from car number 7. That is the first caution under green in the race, second caution of the race.
There you see the right front wheel broken and jammed under the fender there.
Bad break for Ricky Rudd, car number 7, taking the longest walk in sport as he heads back to the pit area here at the Alabama International Motor Speedway. Number 28, Baker, and the other leaders are all on pit road, taking on fuel and tires after this furious start to the Alabama Talladega 500. More in a moment. In the 31st lap, 82.46 miles by, you're watching Ricky Rudd taking truly the longest walk in sport from a race car that is out of competition back to his 7 mechanics on pit road to report exactly what happened and put them in dire straits here today in the running of the Talladega 500. David Hobbs, I'm Ken Squire. We should be getting green within a lap or two and get this race resumed. It's been a scorcher of a start after 7 laps. Under caution, they turned them loose, and immediately 4 cars burst to over 200-mile-an-hour average per lap around this 2.6-mile track. And how about this? Car number 43, which had started in the shotgun position after they pitted to change drivers, relieving Richard Petty. Joe Milliken took over. He has now led for 2 laps under caution, and 43 is pitting. Here he is coming in for his pit stop, but they picked up 5 points. Very important for leading a race. Let's go to Ned Jarrett.
Quite an accomplishment, Ken, going all the way from the rear to the front. He's in now for the normal service, changing the right side tires and, of course, filling it up with gasoline. This is the first time Milliken has been in the pit since he got in the car a little earlier. Now they're coming to the left side, are going to change all 4 tires, and most of the front runners have done during this caution period. And you can see the way these gentlemen work. They've worked at it for so many years together, just flawlessly. They picked that 4-tire pit stop, and now he's away.
There's Ricky Rudd's car coming in the hook. Let's give you the standings at 30 laps. With 30 complete this afternoon at 79 miles, the Milliken car under caution was in front, with Baker then in second, Yarborough third, Neil Bonnet running fourth, Dale Earnhardt in fifth, and showing sixth then was the 1971 winner of this event, Bobby Allison. Maintaining the 7th position overall on the field was car number 12 of Donnie Allison, which looks really strong today. Waltrip had slipped to 8th, and the 9th position was being held by Lake Speed, the rookie driver from Jackson, Michigan. What a handle on him, Lake Speed, but that's the real name of the former world go-karting champion who's turned to NASCAR Grand National and looks pretty good as a rookie. He's already had a 7th place finish this year.
He's certainly a hard runner, there's no doubt about it. He does run very fast. Inclined to tag things from time to time, but he qualified at 190 miles an hour, which on your own around this track isn't all that shabby.
Getting ready for green this time by. They'll be taking green as they start the 33rd lap. We've had 4 races in the Talladega 500 that have been run with nary a caution. That will not be the case today, and presumably we won't see a new record. The overall 500-mile record is 177.602 miles per hour. Buddy Baker, 1980, as you saw on CBS, in winning that Daytona 500. As the green comes out, the record for this track, 174 miles an hour, 2 hours 51 minutes by Lenny Pond on Dark Horse victory in 1978. On the break, Baker, who they say has the horsepower to pull away from the field, the only car that could break the draft and get away, tries to get away but has no success as Cale Yarborough latches on the rear bumper, magnetized to the back of the bullet, number 28 in the back straightaway. We are now working lap 34 on the back chute. Extremely fast part of this course. They've had some terrible wrecks in there. A 19-car spill years ago. 1975, a bad 6-car wreck there. You come off that 33-degree banking, nearly blind, and if there's any trouble in front of you, you're in it in less than a second.
And one significant change in that pit stop. There we see the blue and yellow car of the current point leader, Dale Earnhardt. Probably the most tiger in him in any of the drivers out there. Dale Earnhardt is really hungry to win this championship in his sophomore year. And there you see him come up from 19th place on the grid. And here he is running in 4th spot.
And you also note that what was a 2-car draft for the lead now becomes a 5-car draft. We have 5 cars together for first place. Baker's in front. Cale Yarborough in the 11 is second. Neil Bonnet maintaining the 3rd position. Then comes Earnhardt in 4th. Bobby Allison maintaining 5th. The front 5 in turn 3.
Bobby Allison also making a good move on those pit stops. There we see Cale Yarborough currently running in 2nd spot on the track. At dinner the other night, I was talking to Cale Yarborough about Buddy Baker, and I said, do you think you can hang on in the dark? He said, sure, I can hang on. But if he stays a distance, he said, I don't think I can beat him because he's got too much power. But we'll see.
In the 6th position is Darrell Waltrip. Running 7th is the Louisiana, Texas team with Terry Labonte, and running right behind him in 8th is Donnie Allison. Let's go to Brock Yates.
Ken, I'm with Ricky Rudd, who just bounced off the wall coming down into the dog leg. Ricky, what exactly happened?
Well, we never did get in the wall. We're really lucky not to. The car broke a ball joint when it did that. It just took a nosedive, and real fortunate that we didn't get involved in the wall at all, and no other cars went balls. So whenever anything like that happens, especially going these speeds, you know, it's just fortunate that it turned out like it did.
Okay, lucky man today. He'll be back next week. Ken, up to you.
Car number 7, Ricky Rudd, starting 28th, the first retiree from the race, a former third-place finisher in the event. We just had a report on the second car to fall by the wayside. That would be car number 71, calling it an afternoon here in the Talladega 500. The Dave Marcus car, the winner back in 1965. Marcus, the only man to sit on the pole and win this race. This race has not been particularly favorable to a man who started from the front-running position. And they're having ignition problems on car number 71.
Talking about pole positions, Cale Yarborough, in fact, may have been rather relieved not to have won the pole position this weekend, because he's had a lot of pole positions this year, but he hasn't had many wins. So maybe he's thinking this will be a bit of reverse luck today.
Buddy Baker storming back into the tri-oval with a flock of cars right on his tail. In the second spot, Cale Yarborough. Then comes number 21, the Bonnet car, and down to the inside, Darrell Waltrip hugging the bottom groove, moving by Earnhardt. 2 leaders. Then comes Neil Bonnet, and now Waltrip pulling up. What about the strategy at high speeds here on the world's fastest motor speedway, the Alabama International Motor Speedway? Here's what your leader, number 28, Buddy Baker, has to say.
Well, I like Talladega and Daytona and Charlotte and all the major speedways, and I like Martinsville. But if I had to have a race that I run on a weekly basis, it would be Talladega, because I think that when everybody else was running all around the country on the shorter tracks, that I was testing at Daytona and Talladega, and I have a lot more experience here, so I do enjoy it, because I think when you know your job better, you enjoy it more. So the main thing is I do like Talladega. I understand the draft, and I think that's one reason that I'm usually up near the front when it's over.
Buddy Baker up in front right now, lurking back between 6th and 10th, but definitely to be a factor before it's over. David Pearson in the Haas-Ellington car, number 1. Is he off the pace or playing Fox? I would go with the latter. Here you see number 28, Buddy Baker still in front, number 45, Baxter Price slowing down. I don't think he's going to bring out a caution flag. Baxter Price, number 45, on the bottom of the speedway, down on the apron as the field meanders down through the 17-degree banking of the tri-oval and flashes across the line again as they lap Dave Marcus, who has not retired after 16 laps in the pits for ignition problems. He is back on the track and running well. Terry Labonte has just gone behind the wall. The story is right here up in front. Buddy Baker just barely in front. 8 cars holding on to him here in the Alabama Talladega 500. I'm sure every racing enthusiast and most sports fans around the country are aware that Patrick Depailler, the great driver for Alfa Romeo this year, lost his life in preparation for the German Grand Prix this coming Sunday. Patrick, a winner of 2 Grand Prix in his career, always an adventurer, David, and he will be sadly missed.
Well, he was one of the graduates of the French racing school at the moment. They put a lot of money behind these boys, and he came up through the school of Formula 2, Formula 3 into Formula 1. Last year had a terrible hang gliding accident, broke both his legs, missed most of the season, but came back this year with the Alfa Romeo and has been running very, very strongly. And of course was killed in the most unfortunate way, just doing some tire testing over there in Hockenheim in Germany.
Very near the spot where Jimmy Clark lost his life at Hockenheim.
Well, Hockenheim unfortunately has claimed a number of drivers, not least among them Pedro Rodriguez, Jimmy Clark, and now Patrick Depailler.
Here at the Alabama International Motor Speedway today, the pace is slowed. The average on per lap now is down to 199 miles per hour. Buddy Baker is still very much in front. Cale Yarborough hanging on in second. Neil Bonnet is in third as the most competitive automobile racing in the world continues to lurk and launch around these corners at these incredible speeds. Next Sunday, we will be with you from Hockenheim, Germany, for the running of the World Championship German Grand Prix here on CBS. We're in turn number 1. You're following a 7-car draft. Out on the point remains Buddy Baker, a guy who truly loves to go this fast all day. He says it's his favorite track, and he means it's his favorite track. His son Brandon is here in the pit area working with him today. There you see car number 6, that's Marty Robbins being overlapped. El Paso himself, Devil Woman. Well, he's feeling the hot breath of those top competitors as they streak into turn number 3. Car number 15, Bobby Allison, 1971 winner of this event, falling off the pace. Allison having problems with the Budmore car at the present time. Get a feeling as the crowd looks down at that start-finish line of the incredible speed of these machines. Here's Baker, bouncing as he comes a little off turn, the triangular irregular part of the track, the dog leg, and down into turn number 1. Yarborough right there with him. Yarborough, one of several top drivers who has not running to win this race previously. There's the attrition rate. He has tried and tried but never won it. And Allison is slowing down up in turns 3 and 4. Remarkably, I mean, dramatically, he's coming down. Bobby Allison is coming on the pit road, and there is a problem on the Bud Moore car. There you see the front 5 automobiles still running like a squadron of P-51s. But here's Allison coming in very slowly with that Ford product, a new look next year in 1981.
I think he's going to go behind the wall. He's taking that wide sweep. Yeah, there he goes.
This will be the 9th car out of the race. We'll bring you up to date on attrition in just a moment. Bruce Hill has come out. Ricky Rudd is out. Arrington out. Terry Labonte has fallen out. Cecil Gordon, Baxter Price, Rick Wilson, and now Bobby Allison, one of the leading contenders in the event, and one of the drivers they figured might come through to be the first man to ever win this race twice. No one has ever done it. No one has ever won this race 2 times in their career. 11 races, 11 different winners. And you're watching the 1975 winner of the race right now out in front, Buddy Baker.
Well, Buddy's running this race just how he wanted to. He's got the power to lead this draft. And, of course, in the hot weather we're experiencing down here, the sun has come out. The temperature will be soaring out there dramatically on the track. And Buddy Baker's in the coolest place on the track, because every one of those cars, every further you go back in that draft, the hotter it gets in that car. And Buddy's in the coolest seat. His engine's running cool. And he's obviously dictating the pace exactly how he wants it to be run.
Kyle Petty, the son of Richard Petty, just overlapped by the field. They couldn't get their car faster, the Kyle Petty car, than 186 miles an hour. But you couldn't wipe the grin off Kyle's face all week, as the 4th generation of the Pettys is here. Adam, age 3 weeks, has come to Talladega to see his father in Kyle's race today. Kyle running now out of the top 20, and we hope to get a word from Adam before the afternoon is over. Let's go to Brock Yates.
Ken, I've got Wayne Torrance, who heads a staff of 4 Goodyear tire engineers here in the pits who constantly monitor the tires that come off these race cars. And after the first stop, Wayne, how do the tires look?
The wear looks good. It actually looks a little better than we anticipated, because earlier in the week the wear appeared to be excessive, similar to what it was in the May race. But with the practice and the race yesterday has helped get the rubber down, and based on what we've seen on the first stop here, there shouldn't be any problems at all this afternoon. Things look good.
Cool temperatures are going to help.
Certainly will, yes.
Okay, that's the tire story from here, Ken.
The story of the race, 43 laps complete. 43 laps down. We've had 2 cautions thus far. The leader continues to be Buddy Baker, dominating this event, much as Pete Hamilton did when he won it in the second going back in 1970. But Cale Yarborough is really running tightly. Then Neil Bonnet maintains 3rd, while Darrell Waltrip holds on to 4th. And the 5th spot at the present time is Donnie Allison. There is Donnie Allison in 5th. Right behind him you see Dale Earnhardt running in the 6th position. Bobby Allison is out of the race, and let's go to the pits for that story.
Well, brother Donnie is doing okay out on the racetrack, but Bobby is not. Bobby, what went wrong?
Well, the engine blew up, Ned. Something just burned a bearing or something all of a sudden, no warning.
Bobby, you're close to home. This is the closest super speedway to your hometown in Hueytown, Alabama. A lot of people here to watch you. It has to be disappointing.
Well, it really is, Ned. You know, I could hang on and draft, and that's the only way I could play the game. I was watching the temperatures, and everything was doing okay, and all of a sudden it just blew up.
Well, Ken, that's the nature of some of these race cars. You never know when it's going to happen, and it did happen to Bobby Allison here today.
You can say that again, Ned.
Bobby Allison, who also is smiling a lot these days, his son has won 7 races this year on the tough Alabama NASCAR Sportsman circuit, and looks like he's going to be a comer in time to come. Meanwhile, down here on the back straightaway, Baker still in front, and everybody willing to play along, letting Baker lead the race at this juncture. And he's actually pulling away a bit here, David.
Yeah, he's pulling away, but not very far. But the guy that's got me interested is, in fact, the man you mentioned earlier, David Pearson, in the red car, number 1 at the back of the train there, going high behind Dale Earnhardt, get a bit of fresh air through the radiator on his car. He hasn't made one single move to get any further up.
There's Ty Scott driving the Harry Hyde car coming in. Harry Hyde won this race with Dave Marcus back in 1976, but they have problems today for the Pennsylvania runner who qualified very well. Ty Scott qualified fourth for this race, David.
At a very high speed, 195.3 miles an hour, so he'll be very disappointed.
But Ty Scott right now is having some problems and coasting around trying to get back to the pit area. Meanwhile, take a look at this battle for the lead. Baker is still up in front. Kenny stayed there. Cale Yarborough hangs on. Baker has pulled the lead pack away to an 11 8/10 separation from the second group. And look who's watching the race. The man himself. That's Richard Petty with the NASCAR chaplain, Bill Frazier, who preached to all the drivers here this morning in the garage area before the event. And there's Richard Petty's car now running right behind car number 27. That is Benny Parsons. Parsons is in 9th. Joe Milliken and that number 43 is running in 10th. There are your leaders, all in a bundle, going up on that 33-degree banking. Baker first, Yarborough second, Bonnet is third. Out for a Sunday drive at over 200 miles per hour. And indeed, as David Hobbs was pointing out, more the factor becomes car number 1, the Silver Fox, David Pearson. And lo and behold, the record book, David Pearson has never won this race. Cale Yarborough and Benny Parsons, Dale Earnhardt are all among the non-winners of the Talladega 500, all super preliminaries in the game, looking to win this Cinderella sweepstakes, which has been the race with Pete Hamilton, James Hilton, Richard Brooks, Dave Marcus, Lenny Pond have made their mark in super speedway competition.
Well, I'm sure that Joe Milliken driving car number 43, Richard Petty's car, I'm sure he wishes he was up with this lead car draft, because he and Benny Parsons are nearly half a lap down on this leading bunch, and there's absolutely no way they're going to catch him up without a similar sort of multi-car draft. There's David Pearson going low again to get some more air to that car. Where he is running in the back of this train, there's a lot of hot air around. You've got to keep the temperatures down.
While you're watching live on CBS, 7 cars strolling along at over 200 miles an hour in the Talladega 500 as Buddy Baker continues to lead. Cale Yarborough in second, Neil Bonnet in third in the most competitive automobile race in the world on the fastest track in the world, the Alabama International Motor Speedway.
The story after 56 laps of the Talladega 500, Buddy Baker and Cale Yarborough 1-2, and you see the leaders here of this 188-lap race here at the Alabama International Motor Speedway. Dick Stockton here at the control tower at the start-finish line, and we'll be back with more live coverage of the Talladega 500 a little later on. Thank you very much, Frank Lieber. And as you see, after 100 laps, just past the halfway mark, here at the Talladega 500, Darrell Waltrip, who won last year's race, has assumed the lead, and the lead has indeed changed hands. When we last left you, Buddy Baker was in front, but he is out of the race right now. We have an outstanding race on a beautiful afternoon here in Alabama, and Ken Squire will be back in a little while with the CBS Racing crew, and we will continue our...
On the 102nd lap of the Talladega 500 from the world's fastest motor speedway, the majority of the leaders have all elected to pit at once. And we see car number 88, Waltrip, Earnhardt, Donnie Allison, David Pearson, all returning to the fracas now after they pitted in that same lap. Earlier, Cale Yarborough had pitted, changed 4 tires, had some problems, and got a lap down. Benny Parsons has also pitted and now come back on the track. There you see Joe Milliken coming in with the Richard Petty car number 43. Milliken driving in a reserve role for the injured Richard Petty today, coming in for right side tires. With Ned Jarrett, Brock Yates, David Hobbs, I'm Ken Squire here at the start-finish line. This 2.6-mile, 33-degree high bank turn track, where today we have had an incredible race thus far. For the past half hour, some 13 cars in a draft for the lead. The major story in the past half hour involved the man on the pole. This track has never been favorable to those who sat on the pole. Only once in the 11 previous races has a man on the pole gone to victory. That, 1976, Dave Marcus with the Harry Hyde car. Since then, no story, except bad news for the guy who came from first place. And that was the story earlier today for Buddy Baker. And here is how that story went.
I really would be guessing if I told you. The engine just quit on the back straight away, and I don't know whether broke a head or a valve or ignition went out or just what happened, but it's very disappointing because if I ever had an advantage on the race, I had it today. God knows it was running and handling perfect, and I just go when I got ready to. I was just sitting there playing and letting Cale and them hang along there because they were all content to ride behind me, and the car was running cooler out front than it was when I dropped back in the second twice, and I figured that was the place to be, but you know, when it's not your day, you can have everything in the world and it won't help.
Ken, I think that the expression on his face right now shows the disappointment that Buddy Baker has here today. It's not the first one he's ever had, but certainly a big one for him.
Disappointing indeed for Buddy Baker. The man who won this race in 1975 for Bud Moore will not win it with a Rainier Racing Team Waddell Wilson crew chief automobile today. Car number 88, Darrell Waltrip, after that rash of pit stops in the 106th lap, which we are now working, 281 of the 500 miles complete and 82 laps to go, finds himself out in front. There have been 20 lead changes, David Hobbs, among 11 drivers so far, so we're not nearing any records today. The record for lead changes, 67 back in 1978 among the drivers in that race. 9 different drivers led the race, and 17 different drivers shared the lead in 1975 back when Baker was victorious.
Well, it's been pretty frenetic, but we've seen a lot of cool driving from people like David Pearson, for instance, who's been hovering around in that top 6, top 8 cars all the time. He hasn't made many charges for the lead because I guess he's thinking on the lines of, well, there's no point leading now. Let's lead on lap 188, which is the one that counts. But he's still right up there in that lead group. And, of course, one of the other disappointed men here today is going to be Cale Yarborough, who came in, made a tire change, and they obviously halfway through the tire change, instead of just changing 2 wheels, they decided to change 4, and that dropped him a lap down. It's going to be impossible for him to make it up if the speed maintains this pace.
Let's take a look at the standings as we get to 105 laps. Here's how they're running. Waltrip is in first. The second spot belonging at that time to Donnie Allison. Third spot to Earnhardt. Fourth spot to Pearson. Fifth to Neil Bonnet. Sixth to Milliken driving for Petty. Seventh at that time was the car number 47 of Harry Gant. Eighth was Cale Yarborough, and ninth was Lake Speed. And there you see the interval. Waltrip has a lead at about a second and a half over the cars now running in a tight bundle for the second position. Waltrip sweeping out of the tri-oval, coming to the line, and as he does, it's Donnie Allison in second, Earnhardt third, Neil Bonnet fourth, and then 10 car lengths back lies the Fox. David Pearson, the all-time winner on super speedways in NASCAR Grand National Racing, now driving for Haas Ellington and looking stronger by the moment. And as we mentioned earlier on today's CBS Sports Spectacular, there's Kyle Petty's car in having a tire change. Pearson could be very formidable. And there is Kyle Petty's son out for his first race. Looks a little bored with his father's performance as Kyle Petty pulls out of the track. Let's go to Ned Jarrett with the 4th generation of racing Pettys, Adam Petty.
Well, Ken Squire, the name Petty has been synonymous in this sport of auto racing, stock car racing, for more than 3 decades now, and we're looking at the 4th generation. Adam Kyler Petty, who was 3 weeks old this past Thursday, and you can see how excited he is about the things that are going on here today. We're with his mother, Patty. Of course, she's the wife of Kyle Petty, who just made that pit stop, and this fellow really seems excited about this, Patty.
He seems to not care at all about what's going on.
Tell us, is he going to be a 4th generation Petty driver?
Well, Kyle seems to think so with those hands. He grips pretty good.
Well, he's certainly taking it easy here today. And Ken, we understand that Papa Lee, the grandfather of Adam Kyler, is ailing a little bit back in North Carolina. And, of course, as we saw earlier here today, Richard has his problems, but Kyle is doing okay. The 4th generation driver here is doing okay. So the Pettys will be around for a long time to come.
That's a hard thing to say, Ned, because now it's Lee as the great-grandfather, and Richard Petty as a grandfather seems unbelievable. But they're all here. 3 generations of them, and Lee is watching back at level cross. You know, the great line of the weekend, I was talking to Dale Inman, who has been not only first cousin but crew chief to Richard Petty for 30 years as Donnie Allison closes down the backstretch and moves in on number 88 Waltrip. There's Donnie Allison back in front, the Alabama gang beginning to show some pressure. I said to Dale Inman, I said, now that you've been a crew chief for all these years, how are you at changing diapers? He says, oh, it's easy for us. We've been changing Kyle's now for 20 years.
Richard Petty, after that enormous thump into the wall last week at Pocono, actually a couple of times this weekend looked a bit like a grandfather. He's sort of staggering around the plate.
Well, here you see the leaders, and there is a member of the Alabama gang, Donnie Allison, out in front in car number 12, and it's great to see him running up in front. Donnie Allison, brother of Bobby Allison, now in first place, and another member of the Alabama gang, Neil Bonnet, hangs on in second place with Waltrip running in third. Donnie Allison, who won this race in 1977, he had relief from Darrell Waltrip in the latter moments of the event when the heat was exorbitant. Today, with a rain shower just before the race, it's cooled off and made it really a proper day for super speedway racing. There's Neil Bonnet, the man running at 62 miles an hour. Remember, if you're just joining us here for our live coverage from the fastest track in the world, we ran the first 8 laps, not 7, but 8 they're counting, on a wet track under caution at about 85, 90 miles an hour. Then we've had 2 cautions since for a tire problem on Ricky Rudd's car. He broke a wheel down, and then we had an engine come unglued on Frank Warren, which brought out the 3rd caution of the day. To date, we've had 14 cars retire from the race. There's Donnie Allison in front, Bonnet in second, and for some 70, 80,000 people in Alabama, this is what they've come to see. The Alabama gang do well in the world's fastest track here at Talladega, Alabama.
There at the back of that draft is car number 66, that's Lake Speed, who's the highest placed rookie in this race, but he also was hooked up in a tremendous duel for the lead from this lead group earlier on, and he too made an unfortunate pit stop and lost a whole lap. So although he's running on the road with these guys and seems to be perfectly capable of it, he had a terrible pit stop and it's dropped him 1 lap down. So although he's running with the leaders, he's not in contention at the moment.
So here's Donnie Allison about ready to lap Marty Robbins once again. That's something. Marty Robbins, a veteran country singer. He loves to race. Has won some races on short track. Loves to get out here in this Alabama International Motor Speedway just for the sheer joy of racing on the course out here. It's Donnie Allison running in first. Neil Bonnet maintaining second with 113 laps about to be completed of 188 in the Talladega 500. At the Alabama International Motor Speedway, there's caution on the track for this car, number 12, the 1977 winner of the Talladega 500, Donnie Allison, coming in the middle of that pack, drafting for the lead up in turns number 1 and 2. Watch what happens to Donnie Allison in car 12. There they are, going into the 33-degree banking. He's on the outside of the blue and yellow car number 2, David Hobbs.
Well, everything's going all right at this stage, but there's a trace of smoke, and pow, the engine completely lets go. David Pearson, the Silver Fox, right behind him, immediately drops out of the lane because the track is going to be strewn with oil and debris, and slips underneath Donnie Allison, who wants to know where to put that car at this stage. He wants to get down out of the track, but he can't do it too soon because Pearson's right underneath him, and that's the end of the day for Donnie. We saw as he drove into the pit, he had to look out the window of the car. The screen is obviously totally obscured by oil.
So Donnie Allison unhinges an engine in car number 12, and the man who's won 10 Grand National races will not win his 11th today. Let's go to the garage area.
Well, you can see it's a disgusted man, Donnie. The car was running super for you.
Yeah, you know, I couldn't outrun a few of them, but I could draft good, the car handled good, and the left front tire come apart and tore all the oil lines off.
Is that what happened? The engine didn't blow?
No, the engine didn't blow up. The left front tire tore up and tore all the oil lines off of it.
That's something very unusual.
Yeah, anything can happen to me, though.
Well, Donnie has had a tough year. As a matter of fact, about a tough year and a half now. He's with a new team. This is about the 3rd race with this team, and you can see how disgusted he was after running so well here today.
Donnie Allison, former Rookie of the Year at Indianapolis. Take a look at the inside of that after those lines got cut loose in there.
Well, there's a few quarts of oil all over that engine. They could obviously get that ready pretty quickly, but I don't know whether Donnie in his current frame of mind is going to want to carry on.
Allison becomes the 14th retiree from the Talladega 500 today. There's a possibility he may get back in the race, and this will definitely put those guys up in the front of the hunt back together here, David, as we have 116 laps complete of the 188 to be run on this 2.6-mile track.
Yeah, it's going to take him a few minutes to clean the track down again, and we're going to see a heck of a race for the lead as you say, it bunches everybody up there, of course, including Joe Milliken driving 43, Richard Petty's car. He'll want to get up there in that front bunch again.
308 miles have been completed. There are 72 laps remaining in this Talladega 500, coming to you live on CBS. Next Sunday, we'll be with you from Hunters. That's next week on the Sports Spec. Let's go back to the garage area right now. In this break, before we get back to the garage areas, they're moving around down there to try to get us some more information during this caution period. The crew chiefs on these cars have become as much an issue as the driving and the cars themselves. There's been a major story about one of the drivers and one of the cars and one of the crew members in the past 3 weeks. The man involved, Buddy Parrott, Darrell Waltrip, with car 88, and the Waddell Wilson car 28. Let's take a look at that story right now. Grand National Racing is called the most competitive in the world, not only among its cars and drivers, but these days among its mechanics as well. Take the case of Buddy Parrott. Just 11 years ago, another tire buster. But he rose through the ranks until he's become supreme as a man who knows how to make a car's suspension work on any size racetrack. Last year, his team nearly won the national championship. This year, with that same team of Darrell Waltrip, they sat on the pole 4 times, won 4 races in the early part of the year. Then, lo and behold, just a few days ago, he was fired.
I hated the fired image, you know, that was one of the worst things, but I've got a lot of friends in racing, and I'm looking forward to working with the Rainier Racing team, and I'm not, like I said, I'm just ready to go racing as a team member and win a lot of races, and then everybody can get have the rewards. I'm not going to get in any arguments or any problems on national TV or anything about what happened between Darrell Waltrip and I. All I say is that I'm just glad and relieved it's over. I'm with a super racing team. We're going to excel. I feel like that I don't worry about that 88 car anymore because I'm worrying about that 28 car.
The crew chief plays a vital part in any racing team. That's very obvious, and you know, I wish Buddy the best, and I would like to think that he feels the same way about us. We had success together, and there's no reason we won't have success apart, and I have no animosity, or I have no axe to grind as far as what happens on Sunday. If Buddy Baker wins the race, more power to him. He won here in May, and Buddy was working for me, and I won here last August, and he was working for me then, and Jake has won here before too.
This weekend at Talladega, we find Buddy Parrott in an old role as part of a team, not as crew chief, but for one of the most potent teams in motorsport, the car number 28 Buddy Baker team, which won Daytona with crew chief Waddell Wilson.
Buddy Parrott has been able to add a lot to our team. He's a fantastic tire changer, which he's changed the front tire for us. And he has a lot of good ideas, which we've incorporated into our car, and came down here and qualified well with, you know, with his knowledge and ours put together.
He's a very valuable man. Plus, he's probably the quickest right front changer in Grand National Racing. He averaged 11 seconds per tire at Pocono a week ago, and he's a very valuable man. And with Waddell Wilson building the motors, it's a complete race team now.
And so while the major marquee drivers vie for 6-figure incomes annually in this Grand National competition, it's just as intense down in the trenches among the mechanics, going for up to $50,000 a year in bonuses and salaries. The race back under green here at Talladega. You're watching live. Darrell Waltrip out in front now as we've just come back under green with Neil Bonnet in second. Dale Earnhardt holding on in third position, and running forth Joe Milliken in the Richard Petty car. It's a 7-car draft for the lead in the Talladega 500. 123 laps have been completed. 65 laps remain in the 12th running of the Talladega 500. Neil Bonnet is in front. Dale Earnhardt is in second. Both non-winners of this event. 7 cars run in the lead draft together. Then just back of them comes car number 27. That is the Benny Parsons car, which continues to stay up in the thick of things, but not completely with them. And there directly in front of Parsons is David Pearson. Benny Parsons hoping to turn it around and have his first time, and they are now reporting him in the lead lap, and they are showing 8 cars running in the lead lap. Our last report unofficially had 6. NASCAR now reports 8 cars in the lead lap, including Benny Parsons in 7th, Harry Gant running in 8th, and just up in front of him in 6th is the car number 1 of David Pearson. Car number 42 of Kyle Petty is being shown in 12th position at the present time. The field has slowed down a tad to 197 2/10 of a mile in the last couple of laps per lap average, and the overall average of the race is 160.492 miles per hour.
Relative dawdle, really, I suppose, if you call
Just the dawdle.
Sunday afternoon drive. There's Cale Yarborough going down, who in that last flurry of pit stops after Donnie Allison blew an oil line off his engine, in fact managed to get himself unlapped, so he's again a potential winner of this race.
There's J.D. McDuffie in trouble, car number 70, showing some smoke going down into turn number 3. Let's see if that's going to bring out a caution. McDuffie drops onto the bottom of the racetrack. J.D. McDuffie of Sanford, North Carolina, who sat on the pole 2 years ago at Dover, Delaware. One of the privateers of the NASCAR ranks, having some problems down at the bottom as you're watching live the 126th lap. No sign of the caution flag being extended on the field. Meanwhile, the leaders continue their own 7-car battle, and there you see the tremendous speed on that back straightaway as the field flashed through. They're going into turn number 3 with car number 21. Neil Bonnet fighting his way back up in front. A little while ago on our telecast today, we showed you a picture of Richard Petty up on top of a truck watching today's activity, and we mentioned that one of the NASCAR ministers, we had the wrong minister. It was Bill Baird, not the Reverend Bill Frazier, that was up there with him. Sorry, Bill. I guess you'd call that a clerical error, David.
I guess you could call it a clerical error. I want you to know that some of this brain fade is coming from the fact that Ken Squire everything's going just fine in this race, except for Ken, who's desperate for a ham sandwich. So if anybody can air freight us one in about the next hour and 5 minutes, it would be greatly appreciated.
It could be sooner. It could be sooner at the rate they're traveling right now, David. They are really covering the ground with no cautions. It's a shoo-in that they can turn these last laps faster than they've ever been turned here at the Speedway. In the point standings at the present time on the NASCAR Grand National Tour, Dale Earnhardt has the second largest lead he's enjoyed all year, and there you see the points of the man in second, the man who crashed at Pocono a week ago. Hence his concern coming out here with a leg so gimpy it took a couple of minutes to get him in the car. His neck in a brace. Richard Petty in second. Joe Milliken is driving his car, and Milliken is doing an exemplary job in car number 43. Yarborough third in the national standings. Benny Parsons is fourth. And Waltrip stands 5th. And I'll tell you, when you get to the last race of the season, it'll be Ontario, California, and you're going to see it live this November here on the CBS Sports Spectacular. And we expect another shootout like we had last year when the point championship went right to the last lap between Richard Petty and Darrell Waltrip.
Well, there you see the points leader, number 2, hounding Neil Bonnet, who at the moment is not very high up in the point standings, although he did win the last race last week up at Pocono, and could be a tough man to beat here. He qualified second on the front row of the grid, just immediately behind Buddy Baker, and he's run really strongly all afternoon. It might seem a little bit odd to some of the viewers that, in fact,
Dale Earnhardt's mother, fingers crossed. Hoping for the best here today.
I expect Dale Earnhardt's trying to drive out there with his fingers crossed as well. It might seem a little bit odd to some people that the driver can get points, but that's the way the NASCAR rules are written. And so, in fact, Richard Petty today, with the start being delayed and then run under caution because of the rain, in fact, hasn't had to turn 1 lap in this race under green, and yet will be credited with all of Milliken's points.
For Neil Bonnet, it has been a litany of engine failures here in this race. He first came here in 1974, and it's been just one hand grenade after another. 75, they blew an engine. 74, an engine. 76, engine failure. 77. In 1979, they thought they had the race won. He was driving for the Wood Brothers. They were on the pole. They led for a ton of laps, and then it all went away just a few moments from the finish. And Darrell Waltrip is the defending champion of this Talladega 500. But right now, it's Neil Bonnet's to lead with the famed Wood Brothers of Patrick County, Virginia. In second spot with the Australian team from California, Dale Earnhardt in control. It is Waltrip running third, Cale Yarborough maintaining that fourth position, and Petty Enterprises of Level Cross, North Carolina, with Joe Milliken at the controls, stays in fifth position. In the sixth position, it is David Pearson. In seventh is Benny Parsons, and it is less than a second over those front seven automobiles at the incredible speeds they continue to turn on this 2.6-mile track.
And none of those drivers can be discounted from winning this race. David Pearson, the Silver Fox, tremendously crafty driver, and he hasn't really made any attempt to lead this race yet. He has led it a couple of times, but he really hasn't put much effort into it. Of course, Benny Parsons has done very well this year, too.
The CBS Sports Spectacular will continue after this word from your local station.
Dick Stockton back in Talladega. I'm at the control tower at the start-finish line. We told you we would show you the tremendous it looks. Neil Bonnet, who has not won this race, neither has Dale Earnhardt, are 1-2 after 135 laps of this Talladega 500. 11 different winners in 11 different races. It could change or it could continue. 135 laps of the 188 completed. But now we are ready for... Thank you, Kurt. We're back at Talladega. We have a crash. Cale Yarborough is leading in the race. Neil Bonnet is second with 12 laps to go. Ken Squire, can you pick it up?
Bill Harvey of Delray Beach, Florida, has just crashed to bring out the fifth caution of the day, the fifth caution of the afternoon. A rookie driver with a Tom Pistone car has wrecked. It has brought out a caution, and it's going to make for a very interesting situation. I believe we're going to go back to green. Let me bring you up to date on 2 or 3 other things that have happened here. Hope to give you a replay on number 87 Harvey in a moment. Among the cars that have fallen by the wayside since last we were together, Richard Petty's number 43, driven by Joe Milliken, engine seizure, out of the race. The car number 43 lost an engine, just went away, and Joe Milliken coasted into the garage area. The Petty team was out here in force today, and he came in to finish well back in the numbers. Approximately 19 cars still running, so the Petty car retiring. That changed the complexion of things. They're checking on Harvey's condition here. Darrell Waltrip is out of the race, car 88. His engine seems to have gone away. Just moments ago, his car fell by the wayside, and he is standing by live in the garage area right now.
He just coasted into the garage area, climbed out of his car. Darrell, what went wrong?
I don't know. I started slowing down, and I could feel the car slowing down, and it was something in the engine. I'm not sure. Nothing really flew out of it, but something. I believe it burned a piston or something. I'm not sure. It's too bad because ain't nobody running. It was. I'll tell you how bad it was. Bonnet's blown. He's blowed, and he don't want to lead because he can't run in the front. Cale, I don't think he's running right, and he don't want to lead because he can't run in the front. And I started to blow up, and I didn't want to run in the front. So we got a bunch of cars out there right now limping home, and that's a shame. This car runs so good, and it never really pressured us or nothing. I think it could have won it.
Darrell, what causes that? Does the heat today have something to do with it?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it has a little bit to do with it, Ned. Just that hard running. You know, we're running around here wide open lap after lap, and if I hang together, it's really a miracle.
Well, Ken certainly has taken his toll here today, and a disappointed winner from last year, Darrell Waltrip, out of it now.
10 laps to go. The CBS Sports Spectacular will continue after this word from your local station. Well, stand by for what should be the most dramatic finish in Talladega history, where we've seen so many come right down to the line. Less than 10 laps to go. 5 cars are in the lead lap. That's 1 more than ever before. On 4 previous occasions, we've had 4 cars in the lead lap. There are 5 together. We're showing 179 of 188 laps complete. Among the retirees, David Pearson in car number 1. His car fell by the wayside. He had a clutch give out, transmission problems on his car. But now there are 5 together, and they are car number 21, Neil Bonnet, number 11, Cale Yarborough. Dale Earnhardt is still in here, as well as Benny Parsons in number 27 and number 47 with a hole in the windshield. Harry Gant still holding on for dear life.
Well, Harry Gant was particularly lucky by that crash of Billy Harvey's because he had just unlapped himself from the leaders. Cale Yarborough and Neil Bonnet was getting in their way, rather. He has a massive hole in his windscreen. He went by them and took the flag. There we see the hole in the windshield. I think they felt that he was probably messing them around a little bit. He crossed the line, and a yellow came out, so it took the lap back, so he's right back there with the leaders now.
One lap, and they will be racing for the finish of this $249,000 race. Joining me in the booth, the president of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, John Cooper. What do you think of this one, fella?
Ken, what a race and what a track. This Talladega puts on some of the greatest races in the country. This next 9 laps is going to be unbelievable.
Key question.
Okay.
They talk about 32 races on the NASCAR Grand National Tour for next year. Is Indianapolis going to be one of the tracks where these stock cars will be running?
Ken, I don't know about next year. In fact, I don't know about any of the years down the road. But if we do have a second race at Indianapolis, this is what it'll be, NASCAR Winston Cup Racing.
Question 2, all kinds of rumors about who will sanction the Indianapolis 500-mile last year. There is an ACUS meeting on Tuesday in Chicago. I'm sure the pressure is really on. Are you in a position now to give us any kind of a glimpse of what can be happening to Indy? Would NASCAR be one of the candidates and possibly have the forefront to sanction the Indy 500 on Memorial Day?
There is nobody in the forefront right now. We hope to have that decision made by Labor Day, but right now it isn't determined, Ken.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Want to make a prediction?
I think Cale's going to be able to outrun Neil Bonnet in these last 8 laps.
We'll see.
Well, we've been stressing all through this show that this race has been run 11 times and has been won by 11 different winners. It's now going to be 12 different winners because none of the guys who are out there to win this race have ever won it before.
That's absolutely correct. Here we are with Cale Yarborough, who has finished second in 1977. That's the best he's ever done. Neil Bonnet nearly won this race. Hand grenaded an engine right at the finish a year ago. Waltrip set up to win it. Today it's Waltrip who blows the engine just shy of the finish. 8 laps to go in the event. They'll be getting green this time. What do you think, Hobbs?
Well, I don't know, but I got to think that at this stage of the game, my money's on one of those front 4 runners.
Here they come down the line. Most competitive automobile racing in the world will lurch toward the finish line. It's a very sick and hard beaten cars. There goes Earnhardt in number 2, scooting up on the outside. He is around Neil Bonnet. Now, something happened to Earnhardt earlier, but he was able to gather it back up. Car number 11, Cale Yarborough, is in front. He's never won this race. In second, Dale Earnhardt, the new, young, hard charger of NASCAR Grand National Racing. And behind us, there is a rainstorm, a real thunder bumper beginning to build up. I think we'll get these 8 laps in. Down into turn number 3. Yarborough in front. Earnhardt reels him in the 3rd turn. Coming to turn 4. Back to full speed.
Already these two seem to have broken the draft, and the car behind them is Harry Gant with that broken windshield, and he could be holding up Neil Bonnet. He doesn't want to lose the draft at this stage, but these guys have got the perfect draft. Can they pull themselves away from Neil Bonnet and also from Benny Parsons lurking there in 4th spot?
They want to decide it between 2 if they can. There are 5 in the lead lap as they hurtle down into turn number 1. Standings now, Cale Yarborough first. In that 2nd position, Dale Earnhardt riding in 3rd, getting around car number 47. His car 21, and Neil Bonnet pulls himself into 3rd position and starts to overhaul those 2 leaders. Down the back straightaway they go at over 190 miles per hour. Earnhardt, the new force to be reckoned with in Grand National Racing, with the youngest crew chief, only 20 years old. Dick Reichert is watching carefully as the field comes around. And there you see that 3rd and 4th place battle now as they close ground. 21 Bonnet and 27 Benny Parsons are right in there, just 20 car lengths behind those 2 leaders as the field comes down to the tri-oval. 6 laps to go.
Well, you saw on CBS the World 600 on the same day as that other funny race in the middle of the country. You saw Benny Parsons win from Darrell Waltrip in a tremendous finish. And can he do it again today? Lying there in 4th spot with only 6 laps to go.
Neil Bonnet closes ground in the back straightaway. We now have 4 cars ready to battle for the lead. There they are. 6 to go. Who will it be? Here they are for the veteran. Earnhardt goes to the inside. Earnhardt pressing. Goes down low. Bonnet moves in. A member of the Alabama gang. 80,000 people come to their feet. Benny Parsons of Ellerby, North Carolina, and Detroit, Michigan now presses to the inside. He tries to find some running room.
This is going to be one finish.
Down they come. Out to 17 degree. Tri-oval banking. Earnhardt first. Bonnet second. Yarborough third. Working on the inside, Benny Parsons. The David If prepared car number 27 swinging down low. A little lower on the track. Runs side by side with Yarborough. Earnhardt in front. And is this incredible? All 4 of those drivers have never won this race.
Well, I said it could be any one of those 4.
On the back straightaway again, Earnhardt with the advantage. Bonnet right there with him. Dale Earnhardt now has 4 Grand National wins. The Australian team of California. The team manager, Roland Wolotica, he's chewing his fingernails right about now. Right with him, Bonnet.
Well, they lost their crew chief, Jake Elder, who went to work with Darrell Waltrip, but it doesn't seem to slow them up all that much.
Bonnet goes to the inside. The Alabama gang goes in front as he slides off the bumper of number 2 Earnhardt. Down into turn number 1, a lap car on the bottom of the track. Strategy is all important here. How do you set them up? Now you look ahead. You watch where every other car, all the ponds, those back marker privateers are around the track, so that when you make your move on the leader, you'll have someone to use as a blocker.
Well, of course, the slingshot is the ideal way to win one of these races. You make up ground behind them and pass them on the line. But a lot of these drivers really like to lead those last 2 laps and not risk it to chance because of traffic and anything else that can go wrong.
185 laps complete. Out of turn number 4. Neil Bonnet is your leader. The Wood brothers have never won this race. They've come close. David Pearson gave them a second one time. AJ Boyd was here early with them. They never won it. The Wood brothers, of course, have won everywhere, but here and at the Texas World Speedway.
2 laps to go. Now's the time, really, I guess, that Neil Bonnet's as happy as he could be out there. No one's going to be very happy, but Neil Bonnet in front has got to be as happy as anybody.
Neil Bonnet with 6 victories. He's never won 2 in a row. He won at Pocono, Pennsylvania last Sunday. He's in front as they go down the back straightaway. Putting a lap on Jimmy Means. Into turn number 3. Next to last time. A lightning bolt up off turn number 4, and plenty of thunder rumbling out of turn number 4 as those pure leaders come by. Last lap, average speed among these 4 cars running just inches apart, 198 miles an hour. Harold Kinder extends the white flag. 80,000 people are on their feet. Down they go into turn number 1. Bonnet has the advantage. Yarborough presses down to the inside. Parsons ready to make his move. 4 cars. Who will it be at the finish line? Bonnet holds on to the lead.
Bonnet moving down out of the draft to try and fool their draft, which he's...
Earnhardt comes to the inside. It's knuckle to knuckle into turn number 3. Earnhardt in front. Bonnet coming back. Here comes Parsons from the inside. The last lap of the 12th annual Talladega 500. What a classic. $249,000 at stake. Here they come to the line. Neil Bonnet of the Alabama gang is in front. Oh, no. Earnhardt pushing. He hits Cale Yarborough. They picked it up to the line. It will be Neil Bonnet. The Alabama gang pulls it off. The crowd ecstatic as a local boy has done it. Neil Bonnet has won the Wood brothers the race they haven't won. Neil Bonnet of Hueytown, Alabama, the protege of the great Bobby Allison, has won here before a home state crowd. Bonnet slowing down into turn number 3. What do you think of that one, Hobbs?
Well, what a finish, and what driving by Neil Bonnet. I mean, he just threw the block to those guys going down the back straight. Dale Earnhardt pulled alongside him, made time on the inside, but he kept Dale too low. It bound Dale's car up, and Neil Bonnet, running higher on the banking, had the speed to pull in front, and he let the others scrap it out between them. Cale Yarborough, number 11, Dale Earnhardt, number 2, touching repeatedly as they came up to the line.
Bonnet coming down onto pit road. And if you think this is something, wait till you see the finals November 16th, Saturday, on the CBS Sports Spectacular of the NASCAR Grand National Tour. This likable driver. There's been a brand new book just written about him, about Jim Hunter, which came out this past week or 2. And Neil Bonnet wanted the book to be called 21 Forever, or Forever 21. Well, Forever 21 has certainly come through today. Headed for victory lane, Neil Bonnet, after this sensational victory. Next week, CBS Sports Spectacular takes you to the World Championship German Grand Prix in Hockenheim, Germany. Now we're taking you to victory lane with Neil Bonnet. Come in, Brock Yates.
We're down here, pandemonium as usual in victory lane, Ken. Neil Bonnet, a very, very happy young man. He looks quite fresh, all things considered. trying to get him out of the car. Neil, congratulations. Terrific work.
Oh, I'm telling you what, the Woods brothers, there's no way to tell you. They did one heck of a job to get this race car to run like this. You know, he's trying to hold off a whole gang of them Oldsmobiles. That's a pretty good day's work.
3 laps in the finish. You're sitting back in 3rd place. All of a sudden, goodbye to Cale and Dale. What happened? How'd you get by them?
Well, I felt like I needed to lead the last few laps. They're geared a lot lower than we are, and this Mercury seems to run better when it's wound up. So I couldn't do anything but follow him for a while there, and then at the end, I wanted to be leading them, make them do some work.
Once Buddy dropped out, you seemed to have plenty of power to stay with the leaders. Was that the case, or was it just clever drafting?
Well, I tell you what, this Woods Brothers Mercury, the Purolator car just performed so well in the handling end of it. You know, it had power down the straightaway, but I could just hold it wide open all the way around the racetrack. I think that's the key to winning the race, being able to just sit there and drive like a Sunday drive all day.
You know, you're the 12th man to win this thing in 12 years. That nobody's ever yet repeated, but you've done it 2 weeks in a row at least, and that's pretty good news for 21, isn't it?
Yeah, I can take a bunch of this. I'll try to come back next year and break that string for him.
Okay, let's get him out of the car. Let's get him out of the car. Here he comes. Bunch of folks. This man is one of the best-liked young drivers on this circuit, Ken. Saying hello to Mom and his wife and the crew. Ken, we're getting buried down here. I'll send it up to you.
Neil Bonnet has won, and we're going to show you again that exciting, sensational finish here today on CBS of our live coverage of this 12th annual Talladega 500. A happy Neil Bonnet in victory lane, and we'll be back to take a look at that finish again very, very shortly. Suffice it to say, it's been one of the most exciting races we've ever seen. Stand by. We'll show you how it happened one more time in just a moment. Well, there are some of the statistics on today's race for Neil Bonnet. One that is not there has been the tremendous support of one of the great patrons of the sport, Paul Cameron, who's been watching the race in New Jersey today. And I know it must be a thrill for him to see that car number 21, which he has supported so ably for so many years, pull it off in such dramatic fashion. The story of the man who won there, the story of one of the men who didn't win, is in the pits right now with Ned Jerry.
Cale Yarborough finished second, just ahead of Dale Earnhardt. They're both with us right now. Cale, it went right down to the wire in a real slam-bang affair.
Well, it sure was, Ned. It was a pretty good race all day after Buddy fell out. Buddy was a little stronger, and of course, Neil was strong at the end, but Dale and I had a good run for it there at the end, and I just barely did beat him.
Well, the fact that you and Dale were racing to the flag, racing each other, did that give Neil Bonnet an advantage?
Well, there's no doubt about it, but you know, when you got 3 cars running for the checkered flag, 2 of them's got to be racing each other, and I had rather been racing Neil, but as it happens, always the 2nd and 3rd place car end up racing each other, so that's just the way it goes in racing.
If you had it to do over, would you rather have been in another position rather than 3rd when you took that white flag with 1 left to go?
Well, I don't know anywhere else I could have been, because the Mercury was a little bit strong today.
Well, Dale Earnhardt finished 3rd, just about a foot behind Cale Yarborough. Dale, it looked like that you and Cale might have touched as you came through the tri-oval there at about 200 miles an hour.
I think we did get together a little bit, but we both had control of the car, so it didn't upset either one of us, and we could race on to the flag. But Neil went down through the tri-oval in front of me just a little bit and gave me a little advantage at first, and then he went back to the outside and gave Cale the advantage to come back and beat me. So, you know, it was just nip and tuck for us.
If you had it to do over, would you have done something different?
I don't know. You know, it came down to there was 4 men racing for the lead, and everybody had their own opinion of what they ought to do. And Neil went down on the backstretch, and they sort of made me make a move, and I wasn't sure what Cale was going to do, so I went ahead and tried to get by Neil and, you know, either try to beat him or maybe they'd race each other and beat them to the flag.
Well, 3rd's not bad, and you maintain that point lead, so you got to be pretty happy with that.
I'm pretty well pleased starting from 16th. My crew did a good job today, and the engines run good, and, you know, we just had a pretty good day.
Well, Ken, many times when you see the 2nd and 3rd place drivers, they're not too happy when they get beat, but these fellows seem to be in pretty good spirits here, even though they did run 2nd and 3rd.
Cale Yarborough and Dale Earnhardt, who wind up 2nd and 3rd, 4th belonging to Benny Parsons, and what a story in Harry Gant with that broken windshield in 5th place. Let's go back to victory lane right now. Brock Yates.
Ken, I've got Leonard and Glenn Wood. Leonard is the crew chief on this car, chief mechanic. Glenn, of course, is the car owner. 2 of the legendary Wood brothers. They've been in this thing since 1956, perhaps the certainly the greatest small racing team in stock car racing history. They come out of Virginia and blew everybody off for a long, long time. A little drought recently, though, Glenn, and then all of a sudden 2 in a row. How do you feel?
Well, that feels great. We've had droughts before, and so I knew when we got everything together, we'd come back.
How about it, Leonard? He seemed to blow by everybody but with about 3 laps left. Did you think he had that much left in the car?
Well, see, we had the car geared to race at 200 miles an hour, and of course, when Baker fell out, the pace slowed down, and you know, we didn't know if the gear was going to be enough to turn the engine enough to beat him or not, but he got it wound up, you know, in a draft, and it was able to beat him.
Leonard, or Glenn, both of you, what happens to a race team when suddenly you go through a long dry spell and all of a sudden you seem to win and win and win? What does that do to you in terms of morale for the whole Wood Brothers operation?
Well, we've been in racing, you know, close to 30 years, and out of all that time, it always goes a few years, real good years, and it's never always went smooth. You always have bad years in there. And, you know, you just have to forget about it and keep working and trying as hard as you can. And sooner or later, if you're supposed to win, you'll win.
We want to apologize for a slight loss of picture just a moment ago. We're still here at Talladega, Alabama, and we're now ready to watch with you that last lap. Harold Kinder extending the white flag, and this was it. 4 cars coming down to decide a $249,000 race in this 31-event tour of $6 million. It's number 21. Bonded out in front. Number 2, Earnhardt deployed in second, with Cale Yarborough running third. David Harms.
Well, a lot of people say the best place to be on the last lap is in the lead, but it doesn't always work. But here's Neil Bonnet deploying himself, moving away from the wall, blocking off, taking the draft away from Cale Yarborough and Benny Parsons in number 27. But Dale Earnhardt tries to take him on the inside, but he's low on the track. The car's tightening up, and Neil Bonnet again surges ahead. Now this time he's got Cale Yarborough following behind him. Now the two of them haven't got a proper draft. Neil Bonnet moves up to the wall, giving Cale Yarborough the draft and leaving Dale Earnhardt in the cold. And look at those two cars racing for second place, touching each other. They come to the tri-oval, and Neil Bonnet at that stage is absolutely home and dry.
And watch this battle again for second place. Talk about a photo finish to the line. Number 21 is across the stripe, and as they come up, that's how close second place, third, and fourth were to the stripe.
And those are a Bonnet ahead or a Hood ahead, and they're doing over 300 feet per second as they cross that line.
On the official finish, the winner here today, Neil Bonnet in the 12th annual Talladega 500, the 12th different winner. Second, Cale Yarborough. Third, Dale Earnhardt. Fourth, to Benny Parsons, and going in 5th position at the finish was Harry Gant, while in 6th was Richard Childress. Winding up in 8th today was Kyle Petty. Once again, let's go to Dick Stockton.
All right, thank you, Ken. And I'll tell you what, I've been watching the faces of the people leaving here, and they weren't cheated today because they saw an exciting finish to a race that only had 3 cautions, and they also saw one of their own, an Alabaman by the name of Neil Bonnet, win. He won at Pocono last week. He wins the Talladega 500 in a thrilling race this afternoon.